What's up, pals? Welcome to another episode of your Random Pao channel. And today I'm in Lawrenceburg, Indiana at a place called FourSpeed on the 50. 50 meaning US 50. Now, if you're not familiar with Lawrenceburg, Indiana, it's on the southeast corner of Indiana, so kind of close to northern Kentucky and close to Cincinnati, Ohio. This little tucked away gym that I came across, I saw it scrolling through Facebook, and I was like, it's interesting. This is a relatively new place. It opened in August of 2020, and it's called an auto park. What that represents or means is it's got a car museum, it's got a car storage facility, it has a 50s style diner, and it has an Amoco gas station that are all part of this property here. This is something that I haven't been to before, and there's not a whole lot of stuff on the internet about it, so I thought I would showcase it to y'all today. So let's go on in and take a look and see what all cool rides they got in here. And you can see they got a really cool sign on the museum, a gas pump deal here. And let's enter. And also another thing, they advertise on their website that during the warm months they have like a cars and coffee gathering. This is a place that is touted as a place for car people to come and hang out and have a good time. Okay, so first you got to go to the gift shop to get the tickets to go in the museum. There's a small entry fee, but yeah, I was about to go in that way, but you got to stop at the gift shop first and get your tickets. So I'm here with Steve, the owner of this cool complex. And Steve's going to tell us a little bit about this place, because this is cool. It's got not only cars but automobilia everywhere.
Yeah, we got a little bit of everything. What influenced us here is across the way here we've got a classic 50s stainless steel diner that we had built down in Florida. So it was a modular building. Built it through COVID, so we went through a lot of challenges getting that done. And we had it shipped up here with 4 trucks, set with the crane, the whole experience. So anyway, when we decided to do this diner, we wanted to add to that experience. My wife and I, we've drove to California 7 times in the last 7 years along Route 66. We would stop at every diner, museum along the way. That helped feed our enthusiasm for what we've done here. So we've got this crazy idea that we're going to bring some of that same nostalgia from historic Route 66 to famous Route 50 right here in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. So anyway, when you enter into the museum, we've got this old vintage raffle basket here that all of our guests will put them into a monthly drawing and give something away.
And the rubber chicken.
We got to have the rubber chicken here to kind of help set the mood. So yeah, so we've been blessed with a lot of really nice museum quality cars. This is all our private collection, but I made some sincere efforts to try to represent all the major American manufacturers here. We've got a lot of all original cars with low miles, which what I'm trying to do is capture a piece of the automotive history, preserve that and share that. Nothing does that better, in my opinion, than an all original car as it rolled out of the factory. Like this 69 Corvette, for one example, with the 427, 100% original car, paint, everything. It's only got 32,000 miles on it. We've got a GT 500 07. Even though it's not that old of a car, that was that first year for that redesign of the GT 500. At the time, that was Ford's highest factory produced horsepower car ever, 500 horsepower from the factory, which was a big deal in 07.
Yeah.
Not so much today, right?
Yeah, now you're getting into the Hellcats and Demons with the 1,000 horse and stuff.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, that car's only got 72 miles on it.
Wow.
So it's like a brand new car.
That's a time capsule right there.
It was the poster car. In fact, that banner that's hanging over it was hanging over at the factory, or at the dealership rather. So that was the poster car for that new model when it came out. So pretty cool. We got a little Mustang under here with only 23,000 miles on it, all original. It's had a repaint. We got a great 69 Grand Prix here, fantastic car, 13,000 miles. It's 100% original.
Cool.
Unbelievable car with the 428 HO. Beautiful, one of my favorite cars right there. So anyway, we put some runners down to kind of help guide the way. We allow folks to self-tour. We've got a really cool bathroom built out back here. You're welcome to use the restroom or check out some of the things we have inside there, which is pretty cool. There's an upstairs, go up on the mezzanine. We have a TV sitting area. We have a wet bar, and we have some games up there that we allow folks to play. It's pretty cool. Through that door down there leads you into our party room. So we have a room that we built out for birthday parties, club meetings, things of that nature. It's been a really cool, fun spot. There's more cars over there. There's an old soda fountain over there. It's over 100 years old. There's an old popcorn machine over there. We got some 1950s era mannequins over there that are hanging out. Really cool. But that's a fun space there. Make sure you check that out. A lot of things are along the walls. You know, it's a work in progress, and honestly, probably always will be.
So where all the cool kids come to hang out in town, right? Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah. Thanks for visiting us, and enjoy it. We appreciate getting some of your feedback.
Yeah, and roughly how many cars do you have here?
Inside the museum here, we have 23 cars. Yeah, I think that's right. 23 cars currently.
And in addition, you have customer cars and storage, right?
Well, yeah, up in the back building, we have units that we have leased out. The guys have built out as individual spaces. For example, that was the original intent of this space. So if you could imagine a wall put up between these two air handlers right here, this space here would be one individual unit. So it's 25 by 50, fully climate controlled. You got your own separate utilities. You got water. You got Wi-Fi with fiber optics. So in essence, this could be like the ultimate man cave with the ability to put in a second level mezzanine. That's why we have the height in the front. That's why we put these windows in the front of the building, which is nice. It allows in some natural light. Yeah, it's quite comfortable in here. I mean, it's kind of cold outside, but coming here, it's I feel pretty comfortable. So these cars are, you know, like I said, you know, a lot of museum quality cars. You know, they're in the optimal conditions to stay in tip-top shape.
How tall is the building?
It's 22 foot.
Yeah, so you got a lot of room to work with if you want to stack cars up. And
Yep, and you know, we've got quite a few gas pumps, a lot of other things. This is one of my favorite pumps here. This is, you know, they refer to this as the May West style pump because of the shape of it. What's really cool about this is, well, this is 1917 is the date for this. That's got the original globe on it, which is so hard to find. So that's really special. Doesn't have the original glass, but it does have the original globe. I've got a few that have the original glass, like that one there. You can see that purple tint. That's original glass. So cool. So we've got some really nice gas pumps and a lot of other pieces of history.
Yeah, there's a lot of little stuff you check out. Not just the big cars, but little cars and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah, and we're, you know, I'm born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, so I'm a big Reds fan and Bengals fan. But we got some Reds memorabilia over here on the wall, and we have a Pete Rose Hit King Camaro. In fact, if you look back behind the car, you'll see a picture of Pete Rose with Buddy LaRosa, which I don't know if you're familiar with Buddy LaRosa. He's the local
I'm not familiar with
LaRosa's Pizzeria here in the tri-state. There was one in Louisville.
Yeah, they went out though.
Yeah, they went out.
Very long.
Yeah, they had one in Lexington and Louisville that went out. But they tried to reach out that far. But here in the local tri-state area, they're a big deal. Yeah. Anyway, the city of Cincinnati, Buddy LaRosa is 95 years old. Wow. Unbelievable. And he's like a father figure to me. In fact, I don't mind sharing this. He doesn't mind. He actually has one of the units here down at our property. He has a car collection that we help take care of for him. So anyway, you'll see a picture of him with Pete Rose back there. Pete Rose was here back in the spring of last year. We were really fortunate and blessed to have that now, especially now since he's passed on. So anyway, you can check that out. Check out that Pete Rose Hit King Camaro is one of 27. They only did 27 of those cars. We've got an 02 Camaro down here that's only got 42 miles on it. Okay. Now this Camaro right here, it's really special.
As you can see, it's a SS, but it's beyond that. It is a Pete Rose edition Camaro, and I'm gonna get over here and have Steve tell you all about the Pete Rose edition Camaro.
Well, a lot of folks, they want to ask me to say, was this Pete Rose's car? I'm like, no, it wasn't Pete's car, but it was done in honor of Pete. So they call it the Pete Rose Hit King Camaro. Basically, you know, well, let me back up a minute. In 2002, which is what that car is over there, that was the last year for the Camaro, right?
Yeah.
At least they thought.
Yeah. And then,
so 2002, it's like goodbye Camaro. Well, 8 years later, they announced the Camaro's back.
the fifth generation Camaro, yeah.
Right. So what happened was local radio station WLW that does the Reds games. They got with local dealers here in the tri-state, and they twisted GM's arm and they said, "Would you do a red Camaro and honor Pete Rose, the Hit King?" And GM said, "Okay," and they agreed to do just 27 of them. And so that's how many dealers that they distributed cars to. I don't know if they did one per dealer or how they divvied that up. You can see here it's got the graphics on there for the Hit King. There's some badging. I think you saw the hood under the engine where Pete Rose signed the engine cover.
Yeah, we'll just go over all the fine details there. You got some of the memorabilia from Pete Rose.
We got this, including this. This was a suit that was done from him. There's a famous tailor, his name is Pepe Raimondo, on the west side of Cincinnati, who did all the suits for all the athletes and other celebrities locally here in Cincinnati. Pete was here back in the spring. I'm really close with Buddy La Rosa, who's a local pizza king here in the tri-state. La Rosa's Pizzeria, founded in 1954. So anyway, I knew Buddy had Pete's number, so I told Buddy, I said, "I want to get Pete down here, right?" And he's like, "Well, good luck with that, right?" Well, I said, "Well, Buddy, can you give me his number?" He said, "Well, he's out in Vegas. He has somebody screening his calls. You can leave a message. He may or may not call you back. But if he does, just be prepared. He's going to want to get paid." Okay? I said, "Oh, okay, I got it." So I called Pete, left a long message. The next morning I woke up, I had a missed call from Pete Rose. I was like, wow, he called me back, right?
That's cool.
Yeah. So then ultimately, we did connect, and I kind of used Buddy La Rosa. I said, "I'll get Buddy down here." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to see Buddy." I said, "Pete, I got one of your cars down here. I've got other memorabilia. We'll go over to the diner and have lunch." He's like, "Okay, Steve, well, I'll be in the area this Easter weekend doing a signing. I'll stop by on Friday for lunch. How's that?" So that'd be great. So Pete came down to see us. I was telling you about this picture here.
Oh,
here's a picture of Pete sitting here in these chairs. These chairs are from Crosley Field. So there's Buddy La Rosa, and there's Pete Rose.
Cool.
And we were walking through here, and I said, "Guys, you could sit down there and have a seat." And they sat down there, and they sat there for about 15 minutes just talking, telling stories. It was the most special time, just unbelievable. So really blessed to be able to have Pete Rose come down here and visit us, especially now that he's passed on. So
when did he pass away?
He just passed away, it's been about 3 months ago.
Yeah, so very recent,
Yeah, I think it's been about that, hasn't it? 3 or 4 months, something like that. Yeah.
So let's go over all the details on this car here. It's got a license plate frame. It says Pete Rose. Yeah. So this one you can see here, Joseph Chevrolet. So this particular car came from Joseph Chevrolet in Coleraine. I'm not the original owner. I'm the second owner. So I bought it from the original owner. It's only got 2,000 miles on it. It's basically spent its life here in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, which is where she's from. So you can see here, on the seat rest there, the headrest where they just had it, badged the Hit King. You can see the floor mats, the Hit King. You can see the badging here. Let me go get the light on there. You can see Hit King on the floor mats. Yeah. And they put the number of hits that he ended up with right there on the hood. Oh, cool. And then on the engine cover, you can see here they've got where Pete Rose signed it and wrote the number of hits here. And here's a picture of Pete signing this. Now, this is where you always got to be careful, because here's the actual original photograph.
There she is, the original owner, and there's her son, and there's Pete signing it. Well, what she did was she had it altered, the background, a different background. That's her driveway. So she wanted folks to think that he was actually in her driveway, which he wasn't, but he did actually sign the car. Anyway, that's a pretty funny story there.
Do you know if they were all like SS Camaros or
the Pete Rose Hit King Camaros were? They all had the SS package.
And I'm sure they were all red.
They were all red. Very fast car.
Did they have different interiors, or were they all black?
They were all the same. All 27 of these cars were identical.
Identical cars.
Yep.
Okay. No convertibles in.
Nope.
Okay.
No, they were all identical.
Have you ever seen any come up for sale since they originally sold?
I have not.
Okay. So it's a very rare item here. Yeah. And how many miles does this one have on it particularly? 2,000. 2,000? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Low mileage there.
Yeah.
So while I was looking at the Pete Rose Hit King car, this lawnmower caught my attention. Steve, what's the story behind this thing? I mean, this is crazy.
But that's funny. Well, believe it or not, I told you I'm a big Cincinnati fan, born and raised in Cincinnati. Big Bengals fan. Well, believe it or not, this was in a Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, cool.
The year the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, 2021-22 season.
Okay, so not too long ago.
And you could find this on YouTube. You can Google it. Scott's Miracle-Gro did a commercial. They had other celebrities in it, Martha Stewart, John Travolta, and there's a clip in there with Kyle Busch riding this lawnmower. He makes the funny comment, it only goes left. But it was a commercial Scott's Miracle-Gro did. And so what happened was, after the commercial, this went back to Scott's corporate office in Marion, Ohio, and they auctioned it off to raise money for the American Heart Foundation. That's ultimately how I ended up with it.
Now, is it really modified, or is it just kind of cosmetic?
Well, you know what? One thing I was disappointed with, when I drove it around out here in the parking lot, I thought it should go faster than what it did.
So that's movie magic for you, right?
That answers that question, right? So this is all just for looks. It's a Craftsman 5 horsepower mower. It's not been modified at all to go any faster.
Well, the autograph, I'm sure, adds like 10 horsepower to it, right? You know.
Yeah, but you know what? Folks enjoy it. I allow folks to get up there. It's a great picture spot.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of folks who like to climb up.
It's got a lot of downforce though.
It is actually set up to mow, so you could. The blade's not on it, but it is set up where you put a blade on it. You could mow with it. Not that I would do it, but yeah. There's a picture of Kyle Busch in the commercial, but you can also Google it on YouTube. There's a video of the commercial, which it's fun.
That's cool. You actually own the lawnmower from a Super Bowl commercial, and it's almost Super Bowl Sunday. It's tomorrow.
Yeah, that's how appropriate is that?
Yeah.
You want to hear another funny story about that? Okay. Well, believe it or not, that Super Bowl, that year we had a watch party down here for the championship game. We played Kansas City. So the city of Cincinnati was just so electric. I mean, it was crazy, right? So we had a watch party down here that day, and I have a daughter that lives in LA. And so I'm driving, she's born and raised in Cincinnati. I'm driving down here that morning, and I'm thinking about my daughter. So I call her. Her name's Heather. I said, Heather, how's the vibe out in LA? Are you feeling it? She's like, oh yeah, Dad, with social media, and with the Super Bowl being here in LA, it's all the talk, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, the Super Bowl's in LA. Well, I tell you what, honey, if we win today, your mother and I are going to pack up, and we're going to drive to LA, and we're going to go to Super Bowl. All right? At the time, I'm thinking, beat Kansas City again at home? I don't know about that. So my wife and I are right up here. We had a bunch of other people up here with us, and we finally realized that we were going to win that game. We kind of just looked at each other and said, well, I guess we're going to the Super Bowl. So I'll add to that. So what I did, we drove my truck down there. I hurried up and bought some magnets, had some magnets made. I put them on there, Houday, onto my truck, and I got these flags. So you see these flags here? Yeah. So these flags, they were on my truck. They were brand new on my truck. I left them on the truck the whole drive there and the drive back. So these flags have 5,000 miles on them. So that's what that trip did to those flags, to the Super Bowl.
You got your use out of those flags, that's for sure.
But it was so fun. We stopped along the way along Route 66 and would greet people. They saw us, we'd have our Bengals gear on. It was the most fun trip that I've ever been on in my life. And I can tell you this, from here to LA, there was many more Bengals fans than there were LA fans. So anyway, the Super Bowl weekend, I guess, appropriate story there. Yeah.
Now, speaking of Super Bowl, you got any crazy stories about Taylor Swift?
No, I won't. We won't
go there.
We won't go there.
Looks like Taylor Swift's in this car.
Yeah, that would have been a good lead in.
Yeah.
There she is right there.
Yeah, right there. Well, we do have a crazy story about Taylor Swift. How did Taylor Swift get in here?
Well, let me tell you about this car, because honestly, this car really has one of the best stories. So this car, when I bought this property and I started this development, right behind us here, there was an old house that was built in 1825, believe it or not. Like 200-year-old house. So here's a picture of that old house. Now, obviously you see that car there in front of the house, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. When I bought the property, the car wasn't here. But what happened was I kept hearing about this car. So I started the project and I kept hearing about this guy that used to live here and he had this car. And then one day I had a gentleman bring me this picture. He came up to me and he says, this is an actual photograph of the car down in Aurora, which is the next town down. He said, Steve, I found this in my barn. I'm surprised it wasn't damaged. I bought a frame for it and I wanted you to have it because I felt like this car needed to be here, right? And I'm like, wow, what a nice gesture, right? So that put me on the hunt for this car. So I went back to the son who I bought the property from, and I said, man, what's the deal with this car? He said, well, we auctioned it off when my dad passed. He said, I think it stayed local. So I found it at a used car dealership, sitting out one of his buildings, collecting dust. And I said, you got to sell me that car so I can take it back home. He said, okay. So I bought it and brought it back here, where his car sat here on this property for over 65 years, believe it or not.
Cool. So let's go over this car. Did you find it in this condition, or did you restore it?
This is the condition it was in. Yep. In fact, when I brought it back, the son gave me boxes and boxes of trophies this car had won over the years, including that one, which is the Concourse d'Elegance. I don't know if you're familiar with the Concourse.
Yeah, we had one in Louisville for a period of time, but we don't have it anymore.
Okay, one of the most highly regarded car shows that there is. In Cincinnati, they have one every year. Well, this one won first place in 1995 for the Buick. In 1995, in fact, there's the poster from that Concourse event right down there. So that's the first place trophy. The featured marquee that year was Buick, and this won first place for the Buicks.
And this is a 48 Buick?
It's a 48 Buick,
yep. License plate.
Yep.
Roadmaster.
This car has been restored several times. The son told me he grew up in this car, that his dad would drive this all around the country. They would go to every car show you could think of. In fact, his dad would tell him, we're going on vacation. Load up, boys. Where are we going? We're going to a car show in North Carolina. And they would load up in this car and drive to North Carolina to go to a car show. It's got, I don't know if you see these horns on here. It's got the loudest horns.
Oh wow, those are
that you'll ever hear on an automobile. These are air horns, and the story is that these are period correct.
Cool.
Now I don't believe these were installed at the factory, but I believe they were dealer installed. But they are period correct horns.
Like a foot and a half long or something.
Yeah. So
2 foot.
So another story back here. I don't know if you spotted this picture, but the son that helped me get the car back got married last year down here in Lawrenceburg, and he asked me, there's a picture of him, he asked me if I'd bring the car down for his wedding. It was an outdoor wedding. I said, well, sure, I'd be honored to. And he said, okay, here's what I want you to do. When they say you can kiss the bride, I want you to blow those horns. So said, okay. So I'm sitting out there looking through the trees, and I got the car out there. And when he said, "You kiss the bride," I blew the horns. The whole wedding party does one of these, I guess, right? It was a fun moment.
Yeah.
So
all eyes on Steve.
yeah, or on the car.
Yeah.
Not me. Here's one other thing that's an interesting story. He gave me a picture of his mom and dad in the car, right? Now you ain't gonna believe this, but you look at this car. This car came out of Aurora, the next town down, another estate. This car is all original. It's got original paint, original chrome. It's only got 13,000 miles on it. Wow. Unbelievable. It's a 1950 Chrysler New Yorker.
Cool.
Lady lost her husband. She loved the idea of his car staying local and being on display here. So she agreed to sell me the car at a fair price. And she also gave me a picture of her husband in the car. Here's what's crazy. See that? See this picture? It's in the same exact spot.
Wow.
Just turn the other direction.
Huh. Yeah, that is cool.
See that?
When were those pictures taken, you know about?
They were taken down in Aurora. I don't know at what time. But,
like 50s maybe? Or?
Then what I learned that these two guys were friends. So now here they are parked next to each other, which is pretty cool. This was not scripted or planned. This just kind of happened.
Yeah.
So let's show you.
Like it's meant to be.
Yeah. One thing I'll show you that's really cool. Do you know what this is?
Factory marking?
Yes. See what that says?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know they did that back in the day? At the end of the quality control, when it got to the end of the line, they would mark it okay.
Yeah, I knew they had various factory markings they put on cars, you know.
Okay, that's where that OK's used cars.
Yeah, I've heard of OK used cars.
That's where that
in my
derived,
mind before you said it, I was thinking OK.
That's where that
cars,
derived from. That's exactly what they used to do at the factory. It was OK.
That's a cool little tidbit of knowledge there.
Yeah. So look at the interior of this car. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, let's take a look.
1950. That's all 100% original.
Oh wow. Yeah, that looks like it's showroom new in here. Let me turn the light on so people can see a little bit better. If I got the little... Oh wow. Yeah. Man, that is so cool to see a factory original interior from.
Yeah.
What did you say, 1950?
1950s. Look at this.
Yeah.
Ashtray. Never been used.
Yeah, back in the day they would smoke a lot, so that's a rarity there.
One in the back seat as well that's never been used.
And what kind of options did this car have on it?
Well, first of all, listen to this door shut.
Oh, that's solid.
Sounds like a bank vault.
Yeah.
Well, this car, one thing interesting about this car, it's got 13 pieces of glass. It's got a 2-piece windshield. You got these rear cozies, which is a rare option. And then it's got a 3-piece rear window. There's 13 different pieces of glass in this car, and it's all original glass. The curb feelers are a nice touch. A lot of folks get a kick out of those, not realizing what they are.
Oh yeah, right back here.
Little curb feelers.
Yep.
It's got the factory. Well, yeah, obviously it's all original. So it's got a flathead 8, and it's totally unmolested. Look at that.
Yeah.
100% original. I can't even really identify where there's been many parts even replaced on it.
Flathead 8. You usually think of Ford when you think of flatheads, but this is a Chrysler product.
Yep, and it's got a fluid drive transmission, which the fluid drive, you have a clutch, it's 3-speed, but once you use the clutch to take off, you no longer had to use the clutch to shift. It would it would shift on its own. Okay. Yeah.
And it's one of those column shift.
Yep.
I know some of the old cars have those push button transmissions.
Yeah, it's a column shift.
Another interesting thing on the Buick over here, these what are they, fender finders on the corners here?
These are actually flag holders.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And also work for fender to help guide your outside perimeter as well.
Yeah. Is that like something back in the day, or is that a factory option, or? Well,
that came from the factory. Yeah. So those are period correct on the car. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. So obviously it was an option.
Can we take a look under the hood on this one?
Yeah. A little bit challenging to open, but I can do that.
Okay.
So this, this hood, as you can see, there's a hood latch on each side. So the hood opens on either end.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to move our little spotlight out of the way a little bit here. Crank that open.
Oh, okay. So it's a sideways hood. Oh wow.
Yes.
I love the
And
paint on that engine right there.
So that's a famous engine, the Buick Fireball Straight 8.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much a bulletproof motor right there.
Mm-hmm.
This is incredible. It runs great. Obviously, it's a big car. It's a heavy car. Once you get moving, it feels like it just floats down the road.
And you got the dual carb setup on it.
Yeah. Now the dual carbs are not original. It originally came with one carb, and I believe, I don't know for sure if that's what happened, but I believe one problem they had with these, that cast iron manifold, the intake would get hot and would crack. And I'm guessing that since he drove this so much, that's probably what happened. So when he upgraded the manifold, he just decided to add a second carburetor to it, which I think is pretty cool. In fact, the other carburetor he got would match the other one dead on. So yeah, pretty cool.
And taking a look at the interior of this Buick, can you tell me anything in particular? I see the radio, and it's probably pretty primitive back in the day. It looks really cool. It looks huge.
Yeah.
So that's what, all the speakers below the dials and buttons?
Correct.
Is there any other cool options on this thing that stand out to you?
Well, the one thing it's got, which is a little surprising for the era, is it's an electric convertible top.
Okay, cool.
So it actually,
yeah, and this predates that Ford Sunliner. Yeah, from the 50s. So this one having an electric top is cool, and it's 3 on the tree.
3-speed on the tree.
Yeah, there's the column shifter, and then you got the 3 pedals down there.
Yeah.
Cool. I can tell Taylor Swift, this is her favorite car.
Yeah, and you can see the floor mats there, Verna and Buck. So the former owner of the car, his nickname was Buck, and his wife's name was Verna. So as I said, he owned the car and had it here on this property for over 65 years.
Right. Yeah. Steve says this 55 Buick up top of here of the New Yorker, it's a very special car, so I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about that one too.
Well, I'll just say this. I'll preface this with just making a statement, and I may be wrong and I may be biased, but I believe that this might very well be the nicest 55 Buick in the country. That's how I feel about this car. It is absolutely flawless. It was fully restored, nut and bolt, in 1999, so 25 years ago. And if you look at it, it looks like yesterday. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So this car I acquired through Mecum Auction in Kissimmee, Florida. I think it's been about 5 years ago. And again, one of those scenarios where I'm going down not to buy, but one thing led to another. And so what happened was there was a gentleman who had a museum in North Carolina called Dream Machines. And his name was Mark Jacobson. He was a Toyota dealer in North Carolina. Well, he had a museum, and he passed away. They brought his whole museum collection, 30 cars, to Mecum Auction at no reserve. You could have picked any one of the 30. They were all unbelievable cars. But this one really grabbed my attention. So, it's a 55 Buick. It's only got 32,000 original miles on it. It was, as I said, restored in 1999, and then it went to the Buick Nationals in Columbus, Ohio in 1999, where it got recognized and got the BCA Gold Award at that event in 1999, which is a highly respected, Buick guys know about this, right? In fact, I hear that Buick guys, they know this car, right? They know this car. I'll show you back here.
I owned a Buick myself, but it's a Grand National. It's a lot newer.
Yeah, well, you can see the underside of it. I mean, just look at how this car was done.
Put a little light on it.
This was actually the scoring sheet from that Buick's Nationals. And you can see here that it's scored out of a 400 would have been a perfect score. it scored 392.
Wow.
So it was 392 out of 400, and it identifies what it was dinged for. There was a splice line, something was the wrong year, and then the finish on the jack was not, they dinged it for the finish on the jack, and then there was a vent bubble. It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's like all they could find on this car.
Yeah,
right?
that is
just
about as close to perfect as you're gonna get on one of these old cars.
Yeah. So
I really like the exhaust tips on this one, and even on this New Yorker. Is that the exhaust tip on there?
Yep. They're cool.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Is that like a certain style they call that one?
You know, I don't know what name it might have, but
it's got a little insert in there.
Yeah, that's a pearl.
Pearl? It's
a red pearl that's worth like millions of dollars. You didn't know that?
No.
I just made that up. It looks
like a ruby.
It looks a ruby. There you go. It looks expensive, doesn't it? Well, this car, as we walk back around the front here, I'll show you this real quick. This car, I haven't researched it fully to be able to know for sure the story on it. But if you see that plate, 1950 General Assembly of Indiana. So we believe that the first owner of this car was the state of Indiana. We think this car was probably somebody of high importance, could be the governor or somebody else that was escorted around in this car, which would explain the low miles and
that's good. You got the plate.
Yeah. So I'm gonna research that. The lady I got it from, she said her husband knew the whole story, but she didn't know. So it's one of those things we gotta dig deeper on to find out. But I believe that is the case.
Well, now that I've talked to Steve a bit, I'm gonna walk around and just give you a preview of some of the other cars in here. Beautiful Corvette C1, and then we got the C3 Corvette here. This is it's an incredibly cool place to hang out. There's so many signs, and there's pedal cars, oil cans, gas pumps. I mean, you'd be overwhelmed when you look at this place. This is an excellent place to come and visit. I mean, look at the paint job on this 53 Ford Crestline Victoria. We've got the white walls, the red. I love bright interiors. This one's definitely got it. I love the details here. It says Victoria right here on the chrome work. You see signs everywhere. And if you come here, Steve would be glad to talk your head off about everything in here. He's got a story about everything. So anything you want to know about, he can tell you about. And me being a Pontiac guy, look at this. Got a 1969 Pontiac Grand Prix SJ-HO, one of 989, with only 13,000 original miles. So this thing, it's, you know, it's got that back in the day color. It's mint condition. I mean, you know, not unrestored mint condition. As far as looking under the engine, you know, it's got some usage, but this is just, it's beautiful. It looks fresh and new on the inside. And this is a interesting retro styled Corvette right here. As you can see, it's a modern Corvette body, but it's got all these retro accents. It has like a Nomad look with the station wagon top on the back. So you see all kind of interesting stuff and interesting people too here. Now I like cars that are a little bit different, and they've got an American Motors car here, which is part of the Big Four. Now only the Big Three remain, but back in the day this was a muscle car competitor in the American market. American Motors AMC, and this is the AMX 1969 with a 390 V8 here. And check out the side pipes on this thing. Man, that really gives a muscle car look right there. You don't see side pipes on too many of the old muscle cars. You mainly see them on like the old Shelby Cobras from the 60s. It's more of a sports car. But this one here, it's more of a muscle car. Now it doesn't have back seats. The the American Motors did produce a Javelin, which is very similar looking to the AMX, and those that have back seats. But this one here, it didn't have back seats. So it's somewhat of a sporty muscle car kind of deal. And it's got the red lines on the tires like back in the day. Now back at home, I have my own pinball machine, a Dodge Viper night driving Sega pinball machine. Here they got a Corvette pinball machine with some Corvette pedal cars right around it for added effect with the display. This is a Grand Sport without the little side stripes on it. Hey, even got the old ancient phone, the pay phone. We don't see those anymore because everybody's got cell phones, but they've got the old ancient pay phone. Check out this pinball machine here. If you're a Corvette lover, you'll definitely enjoy that, or enjoy this machine right here. And here we got this is a beautiful Buick Riviera, 1965. And we got an old Chevy right here, and cases everywhere of car stuff. And even in the back corner here, we got a another arcade machine, a pinball machine. This is high speed. This is a work in progress. So looks like he's always going to keep adding stuff to this collection here. You never know what you might find. You come out here one day and then you come back a couple months later, you might find some more cool stuff. And check this out. This is a room for people to hang out in.
Pretty cool. Your business.
He's got an old soda shop here. This is like an event space. So you have a party, say your car club wants a cool place to come hang out. Hey, get in touch with Steve here at FourSpeed on the 50. And this be a place to come, take all your car buddies, have a little car show going on. And this is rad. This is a little Coca-Cola three-wheeled bicycle here. And it's even got the cooler on the back. And it's got something to keep you in shade when you're driving in the summertime, keep you cool. And the old Schwinn here, I've got an old Schwinn myself. I've got two old Schwinns. I've got a Black Phantom and I've got a Corvette Schwinn. This is a Deluxe 7. It's neat, and it's got the headlight on it like my Black Phantom has on it. All right, I'm gonna take a walk up the stairs to the second floor up here. You get a bird's eye view of everything up here. Let's check this all out. All right, we got like a game room going on up top here, but check out the view. I mean, you can see these big signs, you know, very up close and clear from the top here. You couldn't see too well from the being down below. You see the cars on the rack. You get a better view of what they look like. And look at all the games they got back up here. They got the Cruising Exotica. They got the old pinball machines. I mean, they even got a bar up here. The old Coke machine, bicycle. And check this out. This is so cool. This old Chevy couch right here. I mean, you see these are popular things. People take an old car, back in and turn them into a couch. This is art right here. And now to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly of this place. Well, it's Clint Eastwood guitar. It's pretty cool. We're gonna check out the building behind the building that we were just in. This is where people have their cars stored. Yes. Climate controlled facility.
Yeah. So this unit here. So this is just gives you an example of one of the built out units. So it's 25 by 50. You've got a mezzanine above, fully climate controlled. You can see this guy's got. He's got.
It's a Harley Davidson truck? Or?
2 trucks, a Bronco, a boat,
yep, Harley Davidson.
2 bikes. He's got up on top of the mezzanine, he's got some seating and some pinball machines. A really cool view looking out those windows up there. So this just gives you an idea of like one of the units, how it can be laid out.
So it's like a rent-a-man cave, right?
Yeah. Got a bathroom built out. You know, central air, heating and air conditioning. Got Wi-Fi. Everything you need.
Yeah, that's cool. So here's another unit, and it's got a bunch of different cars in here belong to customers. This one here is even for sale. It's a 79 Trans Am TA 6.6. Old Pontiac back there. We got some modern cars. They got the Buick Grand National. I used to have one of them. Yeah. Okay, here's another unit. This is actually a business in here. It has a detail shop, and you got the old Triumph Spitfire, which a 79 Triumph Spitfire is what I learned to drive a manual transmission on. So it's cool. But this is actually a kind of little business.
Yeah.
That
Shifting Gears, that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a few bikes that he keeps in there, yeah, he's got a nice
setup to do business. Got the cleaning products and stuff. So if you're in the area of Lawrenceburg, Indiana, you might give this business a try. Shifting Gears Detailing. And there's the number on the banner. And you got this cool auto park to check out too while you're here.
It's kind of a project area where we do some work on cars. We've got an old fire truck in there we're working on restoring.
So that's where the work gets done on cars.
Yep, that's where the work gets done, is up there. Yep.
It's a neat complex. So you got a little bit of this, that, and the other.
Yep, and there's our diner right there.
That's where we're headed to get us some grub.
And of course we got the gas station next door.
Yeah.
So I think we got everything covered.
Yeah. All right, we're walking up to this old, well, it's new, but it looks old. It's 50s diner. It's actually built pretty recent. As you heard Steve give his spiel about it. Well, let's see how it looks and how the food is. And as we walk inside the diner, check out the Elvis here. Then we got the old jukebox. Cheese omelet with bacon. Good. Well, pals, that was a fun dining experience. Kind of cold and wet. I get out here in the elements. Gotta come down here, check out this cool auto park in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Bring your car buddies. You'll have an excellent time. And man, there was some good food in there. You'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy the atmosphere. So come on down. But until next episode, because this is a wrap, don't worry, be random.
And if you never want to miss another Random Car video,
remember, ring that bell.